And it also ends up having an effect, or is starting to have an effect on how you make movies.
Jeez, this is weird. This is another one of these really weird stories. Like, what is this person talking about? Okay, so Matt Damon did his first Netflix movie ever with The Rip, which came out on Friday. He's previously done Air for Amazon, but that had a 4-week theatrical run before it started streaming. And then in 2024, he did The Instigators for Apple TV. That had a week-long theatrical run before it started streaming. But no, The Rip is his first movie that's just fully streaming, no theatrical release beforehand. It's a full Netflix movie.
The standard way to make an action movie that we learned was, you usually have like 3 set pieces, one in the first act, one in the second, and one in the third, and they kind of ramp up, and the big one with all the explosions, and you spend most of your money on that one in the third act. That's your kind of finale.
That's honestly the first time I've ever heard that. But I mean, yeah, sure, if you're going to divide an action movie into 3 acts, yeah, there should be an action sequence in each act, because it's an action movie. But yeah, it's the standard that they ramp up to the biggest one at the end. I can think of a lot of movies that don't do that. So I don't really know what Matt's talking about in terms of that's the standard.
And now they're like, can we get a big one in the first 5 minutes to get somebody, we want people to stay tuned in.
Having an action set piece in the first 5 minutes would still follow the standard that Matt asserted. Because, he's saying you need to have an action piece in the first 0 to 40 minutes, another one in the 40 to 80 minute mark, and another one from the 80 to 120 minute mark. Yeah, so you're going to have one in the first 5 minutes. That's within Act 1. Yeah. And yeah, that's not a new concept to have like an action sequence to grab viewers right off the top, which Ben points out.
Like, look, hey, The Town had the action thing in the beginning of the first 5 minutes because, you know what I mean? Like, it's a common trick that you would go like, let me grab them and get them invested in them. It's like the movies that start with the hero hanging from the cliff and now we're going to flash back to the beginning and tell you how they got there.
And yeah, Indiana Jones is chased by that iconic boulder in Raiders of the Lost Ark at the 8-minute mark of that movie. A movie that you were in, Matt, Saving Private Ryan. Yeah, the first 20 minutes of that is the storming of Normandy. I think every Daniel Craig James Bond movie started off with an action sequence before the title sequence. When it comes to The Matrix, it starts off with that spectacular Trinity sequence, and then bullet time isn't at the end of the movie. The opening credits of Speed is already in that elevator shaft. So yeah, starting off with a bang is not a new concept. And the thing is, The Rip doesn't even do that. It doesn't have an action sequence off the first 5 minutes in the movie. There's a quick shootout, but that sets up the whole plot of the movie. That's like the jumping off points. That can't be something that Netflix asked them to add, because that's the whole beginning of the plot. So I'm very confused by Matt's comments that saying Netflix does this with their movies, but they don't even do that with The Rip. And I can't even think of many Netflix movies that do that. I think Back in Action does. But that made sense because, you want to see Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx in their spy roles before they do the domestic life thing, and they have to get back into it later in the movie. So that made sense. But yeah, I'm trying to think of another movie that on Netflix that started with an action sequence. But yeah, lots of movies start with action sequences, Matt. I'm very confused.
And, it wouldn't be terrible if you reiterated the plot 3 or 4 times in the dialogue, because people are on their phones while they're watching, you know what I mean?
Oh, no.
And so then it's going to really start to infringe on
creatively
how we're telling the story.
And once again, if Netflix did suggest that wasn't implemented in The Rip, there's no characters that are reiterating the plot every, 30 minutes for the audience. Characters are always going to be talking with the plot because it's the story and it's moving forward. But in terms of recaps, no, The Rip didn't have that. And once again, I can't think of any Netflix movies that do have that. Now, with The Rip, there is a scene in the third act where the characters are sitting around and you start to learn everyone's true motivations or what everyone's been up to. And so they show you scenes that you previously saw from a different perspective, or you didn't see the full scene. So is that what he's talking about? But yeah, that was necessary to do for the plot of The Rip.
The experience of watching at home, I think, you're watching in a room, the lights are on, other going on, the kids are running around, the dogs are running around, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's just a very different level of attention that you're willing to, or that you're able to give to it. And that has a big effect. And it also ends up having an effect, or is starting to have an effect on how you make movies.
Matt, people have been watching movies at home for decades. Before streaming, there was Blu-rays. Before Blu-rays, there was DVDs. Before DVDs, there was VHS. Before VHS, there was Beta, I think. But yeah, people have been renting movies for decades. And yeah, there's always been other distractions at home. So streaming is no different. The other thing I was thinking too is Netflix doesn't know if someone's actually sitting there watching it or they're going around doing other stuff. I was thinking, Netflix thinks I watched the Thursday Murder Club. Is that what the movie was called? Netflix thinks I watched that movie 7 times because I would turn it on and I'd fall asleep. It wasn't the movie's fault. I was just tired every single time I went to watch it. And yeah, so they didn't know I was asleep on the couch, and the movie went through the end and went back to the menu on Netflix. No, they thought I watched it 7 times. So it's like, yeah, they don't know what people are doing at home. Some people are paying attention, some people could be not. What difference does it make to them if people are paying attention or not? I mean, they've already paid their subscription.
All I know is what we do right now and who we talk to matters.
And in terms of being concerned that audiences are going to, miss the plot, so you need to repeat it to them. No, I mean, that should be a worry. If that is a worry, that should be a worry in the theatrical experience. Because, there's definitely times where I'm seeing a movie and, like, I can't hear what somebody says. My only option is to ask, if I'm with a friend, to ask them, what did they say? But yeah, at home, I can rewind it. Or I can have subtitles on the screen so I can read the dialogue as well. Lots of people do that now. They don't have that in the theatrical experience, but you're not doing recaps in the theatrical movie theaters. So yeah, the things that Matt claimed that Netflix is doing in terms of their films, they're not doing. They didn't do that to The Rip. I don't know, Matt. I don't know what you're talking about.